Welcome to another episode of the Bubbs on Sports podcast. Today is Wednesday, November 16th. Hope everybody's having a good day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Wednesday, November 16th here today, coming off another big night last night in the world of sports. It was a tough one for me as Kentucky loses in double overtime and the Nets lose, just get killed against the Sacramento Kings. 200 to 100. That's what it felt like. Brutal performance by the Brooklyn Nets as they get crushed. And, again, you kind of question, where this team's at. How much longer are we going to sit through this? They are now fall to 6-9 on the year after improving to 6-7 after the Clippers game and playing phenomenal defense. They went from having 5 straight games without allowing 100 points to allowing over 100 against the Lakers, which, made them fall to 6-8. And then last night getting absolutely smoked against the Sacramento Kings, who are good, but they're not 153 to 121 good. So Nets lose by what? What is that? 32. Defense was terrible. Kings played great. I don't want to hear the excuse either of, oh, the Kings, they just caught fire. No, Nets defense stinks. Ben Simmons is garbage. He's got to go. He stinks. I think it's time to blow it up. You hear Kevin Durant's comments today about the starting five and the players around him and how, he's the only one kind of doing anything. It sounds like he wants Kyrie Irving back. The owner doesn't. It's a mess. And if I'm the Brooklyn Nets, you got to blow this up. Just blow it up. Start it now. Don't go through another year. Might as well get to the rebuild now before it's too late. You get to the rebuild now, you play out this year, however it plays out, and then next season you go through rebuild. Instead of playing out this entire year and then tearing it all apart at the end of the year, it's just not working, and it's just not going to work, period, end of sentence. So it's extremely frustrating where we're at as the Nets lose again. Kentucky loses as well, which was frustrating. Double overtime. Really disappointing performance. Oscar Tshiebwe fouling out was tough. Lance Ware, not doing much in the paint. He did what he needed to do. It was the second overtime. It is what it is. Missed some free throws. Cason Wallace is very good. He's been a very good player. He had some freshman jitters. Missed a couple big free throws yesterday, which is a big reason why Michigan State kept in the game. Instead of it being a 2-point game, it's a 3-point game. It's completely different. Instead of guarding the 2, you got to guard the perimeter. It's a lot easier. Michigan State struggled, outside of Hauser, he struggled from 3, they struggled from 3. It was just tough. Tshiebwe fouling out was really rough. Your rebounds are gone, your interior defense is gone, and Michigan State kind of just, survived it. The Kentucky was losing some bodies, wearing down. Michigan State was, wearing down, but they still had their pieces out there. So, tough loss for Kentucky. And again, you kind of go back to the point of, fourth-ranked team in the nation, you lose to unranked Michigan State, who's good, but if you're the fourth-ranked team in the nation, that's a game you got to win. And you go back to the fact, we've seen this time and time again. I saw a stat today. The Kentucky's 1-5 in their last 6 champion classics. They're not good in it. And it's the big schools. It's Kansas, it's Duke, it's Michigan State. Kentucky hasn't been able to beat those over the past 6-7 years. That's frustrating. So rough night for me last night in the world of sports. Hopefully, the upcoming days can be a lot better. Maybe the Yankees make it better. Rangers, we'll see how it all plays out. So, topics for today's podcast, Jets as well. But topics for today's podcast, yesterday we got some positive news around the New York Yankees as they have brought back Anthony Rizzo. They re-signed Rizzo on a 2-year deal, bringing back their first baseman. Love this move for the Yankees. Many reasons why. I'll get into it. Going to try to kind of go through this a little quicker just due to timing today. I know we're already 4 minutes in. My second topic is going to be it's Jets versus Patriots week. I'm going to get into kind of whether or not this is a must-win game for the New York Jets and also why the expectation has to now change for the New York Jets going forward in terms of what the expectation should be in the final 8 games and if playoffs has to be the expectation now for a Jet team that is 6-3 and 1 win away from being in first place and having full control of first place in the AFC East. And if they win this week, the AFC East is theirs to lose. Now you have 7 more weeks left, so it's not like it's not like it would take a massive choke. You could lose. You could win this game, lose next week. Miami wins. They're back at first. That's how close the division is. But if you win this week, you got the tiebreaker on Miami. I mean, New England would be 5-5, so they'll be, full 2 games out, even though you would be 1-1. You have the tiebreaker over Buffalo now. Now, you still got to play Miami and Buffalo again on the road, but for the time being, you have those tiebreakers, so you would have full control of the division. You would have full control. Massive game coming up, and why the expectation has to change if you're a New York Jets fan. So with all that being said, a lot to get to. This is the Bubbs on Sports podcast, and let's get right into it. So a little bit of baseball news yesterday, a lot of it actually, but the big story coming out of the New York Yankees as the Yankees have re-signed first baseman Anthony Rizzo. Jack Curry, who does a great job at Yes Network, reported the logistics yesterday. It is a 2-year deal worth $34 million, and it has a club option for $17 million for a third year, and the buyout in the third year is $6 million. So this is a very team-friendly deal, kind of near a little bit less actually than his other contract. Again, very team-friendly deal, and a deal where it's 2 years. You have a buyout after the second one, so you'll get him for this year, this upcoming season, and next season, and then he'll be 35. So at the end of this deal, he'll be 35, and you can make the decision whether or not you want to kind of go with his 36-year-old year, or however you want to play it out. But he's going to be 35 at the end of this deal. So you kind of got to put that into perspective. Like, he's 33 now, 2 more years, he'll be 35, and it kind of puts you in that position where it's a low risk, high reward move. And I love this move because we needed to bring back Rizzo. Everybody could talk about, he's getting up there in age. He's 33 years old. He had some back issues this year. People don't realize he still played 130 games, and he tied his career high in home runs with 32, which was actually tied for 15th in all of baseball this season. So he had a very good year. He played 130 games. He's consistent. He's pretty reliable outside of the back issues. Outside of that, he's reliable. He's phenomenal at first base, and he's a locker room guy. He represents what it's like to be a Yankee. Locker room guy, very humble, big market, has played in the big market, played in Chicago all those years, knows what it's like, been in the World Series, brings that experience to the locker room. Again, very humble guy, likable around the locker room. He has so many positive attributes to him. And again, the biggest thing of this all, liked around the locker room. Guys respect him. And I've got this feeling that, and maybe it's just me, Judge wouldn't come back unless if Rizzo was back. And now that Rizzo's back, that doesn't mean Judge is an automatic that he's going to come back. But it's almost like if Rizzo would have, let's just say, went on to Houston, it would have been automatic like Judge isn't coming back. Now, let's say Rizzo now stays. Now I think there's a better chance Judge comes back because Judge and Rizzo are close. Not saying that this automatically means Judge is coming back, but it does make you think, all right, Rizzo's back. Maybe they are trying to get the band back together and seeing what they can make of this. But it's good to see the Yankees act on this. And again, I'm going to try to be quick with this because I'm only going to try to keep it about 20, 25 minutes here today. But it's good that the Yankees went with this, quickly here. Because again, they got a lot of stuff they got to do this offseason. A lot. They got a lot of free agents. And then once the free agents happen, you got trades. You got a lot of work you got to do with this, with this roster coming off of getting swept against the Houston Astros, who went on to win the World Series. They're very behind the Houston Astros. They got a lot of work to do. This is a good start. Bringing in a guy, again, well-liked around the locker room, 35 home runs this year, which ties his career high. I believe he's had that, or 32 home runs, rather. Looking at the numbers, he's had it 3 other times in his career. 2014, he did it, 32 homers. 2016 and 2017, he had 32 homers as well. So this is his 4th year having 32 homers. That's tied for his career high, and the first time he's done it since 27. So the age thing really isn't a factor because he's putting up career numbers at the home run spot at 33 years old. And again, you get him until he's 35. It's not like this is a 4 or 5 year deal where it's going to get up until 37, 38. At the end of this, he'll be 35. At that point, if you want to pick up his club option, you'll get a really good idea again. You will get a really good idea whether or not the Yankees pick up his club option. If he's kind of on a downward spiral from here on out, they're not going to pick it up. If he's playing this well, you get a little bit of a cheaper third year, $17 million third year. But if he's playing like he has played in it throughout his entire Yankee career, he's going to do it. And again, I've said that at the beginning of the year, 3 big free agents that the Yankees have. Judge, Benintendi, Rizzo. Rizzo's now off the board. Now you got to bring back Judge and Benintendi. Rizzo's built for Yankee Stadium, phenomenal defensively, hits home runs, 75 ribbies this year, 817 OPS. He's just a good, consistent lefty bat that is good in the locker room, big market player, all around just built for New York. A guy that, doesn't get caught up in the media, does his own thing, kind of quiet, liked around the room, all of those different things. Well-respected, too, around baseball. Well-respected. Just an all-around good guy and a good player and a guy that you almost felt like you had to have back. He's almost like one of those kind of glue guys in a way that kind of puts it all together. It's kind of like the little cherry on top that it's like you need that guy in the locker room that's going to be that, that motivator, that kind of, that dude, that guy in the locker room that's just going to be able to, have experience. He has a lot of experience. He's been in the league. And again, phenomenal defensively, which a big part reason why the Yankees were so good this year at defense. He saves a lot of errors from infielders. A lot of errors with those scoops over at first base. So, like it a lot, 224. Again, if you get the production of, the next 2 years, if he gives you A-plus defensive production, which he has his entire career, you don't expect that to fall at all. Next year, let's say he bats 225, cranks in 70 RBIs, 28, 30 home runs, boom. And then the year after, let's say he has another 30 home run season, cranks in another 75, 80 ribbies, 225, 230. Boom. He's right up by his career averages. He's doing what he's done all year, all career. He's in his career, he's averaged 22 homers a game. So he's right up there. He's a 20, 25, 30 home run per year guy. I said 22 home runs a game. Meaning 22. He's a 70. In his career, he averaged 68 ribbies, 60 ribbies a season. This year, 875. He's doing what he's done his entire career. Consistent. And again, bat built for Yankee Stadium. Does a very good job of hitting it to the short porch. Very good job of hitting his short porch. And I don't know if it was just me. And I mentioned this yesterday when I did my Bubbs Talking Baseball podcast. And maybe it's just me. I could be wrong. And I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments in the comment section down below. But once we heard the rumors about Anthony Rizzo possibly going to Houston, you heard the Houston Astros rumors. It's almost like right when those rumors happened, Hal Steinbrenner picked up the phone and was like, you know what? We gotta wrap him up. We gotta bring him back. We gotta get him back here now. Rizzo, was always a Yankee, always wanted to be a Yankee. I love being a Yankee. Really doesn't seem like that's the exact quotes. I love being a Yankee. It doesn't seem like he had any plans of going anywhere. But it did, that those rumors popping up does make you think a little bit like, all right, maybe Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman felt a little pressure. Like the team that we just got swept by might bring out one of our best players. I look at this lineup as you probably got your three really good hitters. Outside of Benintendi, outside of these other guys, right? You got Stanton, and then Rizzo and Judge. And if Rizzo and Judge didn't return, well, your lineup's really thin. You bring back Rizzo, you obviously stands under contract, kind of that big three in a way. Now it's time to bring back Judge. And I hope that kind of Houston Astro rumor maybe lights a little bit of a fire under Cashman saying, like, you know what? Sense of urgency in this front office. We need a sense of urgency. And this is a good start, right? Signing Rizzo, bringing him back. Now bring back Benintendi, bring back Judge, and let's get going with this offseason because you got a lot of work to do. This is a little step in the right direction. You got a lot more work to do, and your biggest task is still in front of you, and that's bringing back most likely the MVP and Aaron Judge, which we'll find out tomorrow, November 17th, on the awards show, which hopefully Judge is taking home some hardware tomorrow, which I think we all expect. If he doesn't take home hardware tomorrow, that's a complete ridiculous. I know people love Shohei. Judge was phenomenal this year. He's the MVP. Most valuable player, people. Not, who's attracting the most viewers, most valuable. Did Shohei's team make the playoffs? What was Judge's team what was the Yankees without Judge? Nothing. Shohei, Angels stunk with him. They stunk without him. Same thing. So, Judge is the MVP, but you bring back Rizzo. Like this move for the Yankees. And again, hope this is a sense of urgency saying, you know what, look, there's 29 other MLB teams that are going to be interested in our players. We got to get them wrapped up. We got to bring them back. And its first task was bringing back Rizzo, and they did that. And a very good guy for this team gets brought back and was a big fan of Rizzo. Always liked Rizzo. Again, another guy, too, that came over at the deadline the year with Gallo, did very good after the deadline. Actually batted .249 with the Yankees that year. And, in his career, it's funny. In his career, he's actually 265. He has a 265 batting average. He's had a couple years where 293, 283, 273. It dropped off a little bit. But he's turned into more of that kind of 230, 240 range. This season he had an on-base of 388. He gets on base. Career average of 366. Like, you're looking at 480 slugging, career average 481. So you look at his, he's right on line with what he does in his career. He really is. OPS 847. This season was an 817. So, and his OPS, this is the highest OPS he's had since 2019. So at times you look at some of the numbers, Rizzo almost in a way is a little rejuvenated. Like towards the end of Chicago, he was showing a little bit of age. Recently, though, it's like, all right, he's getting on base, uses the short porch, power hitter, excellent defense, ribby, big guy, just a very solid guy in that lineup. That a lot of every team kind of needs that guy. It's going to see pitches. He's going to look at a lot of pitches. Every lineup kind of needs that. Yankees couldn't afford to lose it, so they bring back Rizzo. Love the move, and glad he's back for a third season with the Yankees this upcoming year. Again, logistics, 2-year deal. It was $34 million with a club option for $17 million, which is a third year, and a buyout is $6 million in the third year. So only takes him up to about 35 years old. 2-year deal. Rizzo comes back to the Yankees. All right. So now we move on to a little bit of football, as I mentioned, a little bit of a quicker podcast today. We move on to a little bit of football here as big game this weekend. Obviously, a lot of big games coming up this weekend with the New York Jets. But one of the topics that has been being discussed throughout Jet fans and throughout the NFL is, kind of the expectation for the Jets the rest of the year. They currently stand at 6-3. I'll breeze through their schedule really quickly. So they're on the road in Foxborough this week against New England. Then they get Chicago at home. Then they'll head on the road for 2 games. That will be against Minnesota and then against Buffalo. So 2 tough road games there. And then you'll have home against Detroit and then home against Jacksonville. That will be a Thursday night game. And then your final 2 games of the year will be in Seattle and in Miami. So out of the 8 games left, as I've mentioned, 5 on the road, 3 at home. We've all talked about it. The 3 games at home are absolutely winnable. I understand Justin Fields has been playing very good football, but this Jets defense is one of the best defenses we have ever seen in Jets, really, in a very long time. You can make the argument it's better than Rex Ryan's defenses, which were very good. This defense plays all 4 quarters very well. Past Jets defenses, they play about 3.5 quarters. They play about 56, 57 good minutes of football. The final 3 minutes, they find a way to blow it up, and they find ways to lose. This defense plays 60 minutes, and they actually kind of get better as the game goes on, which is super scary to opponents and amazing to watch as a New York Jets fan. After last year, which was historically bad, this season is historically good. So a pretty great turnaround by Jeff Ulbrich and Robert Saleh to turn what this defense is into, which is a top 10 defense and really is a juggernaut. I mean, there's so many good pieces. So we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. But a couple things I wanted to address. Like this upcoming game this weekend, obviously in Foxborough against New England, a lot of people kind of labeling as a must win. And I see both sides of it. I understand the side, and I have a side to it that is, I have a side to it. A lot of people, there's 2 different sides. I kind of have a different viewpoint from it. A lot of people think it's a must-win. If you lose this game, not that the season's over, but then like next week's a must-win, then you got to go on the road in Minnesota. You got to go on the road, in Buffalo. And it's like things get a little iffy then, and it's kind of like, all right, and you didn't beat the Patriots. You don't get that bad taste out of your mouth. Now you don't have the tiebreaker with them. Like, you're able to really bury the Patriots this week. Because if the Patriots lose this week, they'll be 5-5. And their schedule is brutal the rest of the way. They got Minnesota still. They got Buffalo. They still got to play Cincinnati. They still got to play Miami. And they still got to play Buffalo twice. So their schedule is brutal. You can bury the Patriots. You really can. Now, if the Patriots win this game and get to 6-4, well, now it's like, geez, they're still in it. But if you get to 5-5, there's a good chance they come out of those 2 games, Minnesota and Buffalo. There's a good chance they come out of those 2 games 5-7, 6-6. Instead, if you're 5-7, probably you win this game. You go out of those 2 games 6-6. You get Arizona. You win that game. You're 7-6. This game is so important. You could bury New England and Bill Belichick, which is so important. So I get that aspect of it. And then you hear the other side of the fan base that says this is just another game. Obviously it's a rivalry, but if you lose, it doesn't matter. And I disagree with that. I think this is a must-win for the division. In my personal opinion, if you want to win the division, this is a must-win. Now, because if you lose this game, you're last place in the AFC East, which sounds a lot worse than it really is because the AFC East is so good. New England, if they win this game, will be one game out of first place, and they're in last place right now. So, you could be in last place in the AFC East, win 2 straight games, and boom, you're in first. That's how close the AFC East is. Every team's above 500, right? Every single team. Jets, Bills, Dolphins, Patriots. Every team's above 500. That's how strong it's been this year. So I don't know if I like to look at it that way, but the AFC East is, personally, you don't win it. You don't win the AFC East if you lose this game. I don't think you do. I just don't. Now, playoffs, if you lose this game next week, then is a must-win, in my opinion, in terms of you can't lose to Chicago at home, because if you lose to Chicago at home, it's like then you're 6-5, and then you got to find a way to split against Minnesota and then against Buffalo. You have to. You can't go into those 2 games 6-5. At worst, you got to come out of these 2 games 7-4. At best, what we all want, 8-3, going to Minnesota, getting ready to play them. That's the best case scenario, and at that point, we're still in first place. So this is a must-win for the division. In my opinion, if the Jets lose this game, they don't win the division. But if they lose this game, it doesn't mean the playoffs are completely out of it. It doesn't mean that, and because you're still in the playoff spot, even if you lose this game. Now, the only issue is behind you, you got Cincinnati. They have the tiebreaker, and so does Baltimore. Whoever the second-place team is in the AFC North, because we know Pittsburgh and Cincinnati are done, despite Deshaun Watson being back. He hasn't played in a year and a half. We've seen what Ben Simmons looks like when he hasn't played in a year and a half. Ben Simmons hasn't played in a year and a half. Neither has Deshaun Watson. He's probably going to be a little rusty. Their season's over. If they would have won last week and got to 4-5, I would have said maybe there's a chance. 3-6 is too much of a hole to climb out of with 8 games left. But back to the point with the New York Jets is, if you then you would have obviously sole possession of first place. But back to the AFC North is Ravens have the tiebreaker of the Jets, so do the Bengals. So this is important. This is very important to obviously try and find a way to win this game or find a way to at least split the next 2 just because of who's behind you. So this is what I want to bring up. I personally think I know a lot of Jet fans get this. The expectation has to rise the rest of the year. Like, the expectation the rest of the season, number 1, has got to be you got to make the playoffs. And number 2, I can make the argument, and maybe I'm crazy, but if you win this game against New England, and let's say you win next week against Chicago, and you're 8-3 and you have sole possession of first place, the expectation should be you win the division. That's the expectation if these 2 games go that way. But the expectation right now, it shouldn't be win a division. Now, if you win the next 2, then you could start talking about that. But right now, no doubt about it, the expectation has to be you at least make the playoffs. Anything less than that is a fail. Because, I've heard this a lot. You get people talking about, the Jets are playing with house money. Meaning, it's been a great year. Nobody expected this. Awesome season. We all expected 8-9 wins at the beginning of the year. Even if the year doesn't go as planned the rest of the way, it's still a great, successful year. I couldn't disagree more with that. Because that would mean you'd have to go 2-6 in your next 8 games if you fall to 8-9. You'd have to have an epic collapse, and it would be a complete disaster. And number 2, you're 6-3. Go out, make the playoffs, and once you get into the tournament, anything can happen. We've seen wild things happen before. Who saw the Philadelphia Eagles, led by Nick Foles, beating Tom Brady and the New England Patriots? Who saw them winning a round? Not many people last year saw the Cincinnati Bengals winning it all. So you have an opportunity to make the postseason. You have an opportunity to win the division. Go and do it, because you never, ever know what next season's going to bring. Injuries, opponents, just overall your team, who's coming back, who's not. It's a young group, and we all expect. I mean, I think we all assume that this is the start of something special in a hopefully many, many years of very good football. And I think that's kind of what we all assume, but you never know. There's been so many times just in New York sports where everybody thinks, 1 year, all right, they'll be great. They're going to have a great team for a very long time. Next year, they're not the same, and it never happens. I mean, I give you two specific examples. 06 Mets. They're an example of playing with house money in a way, where, going into that season, they get all the way there. They're like, we lose, but we'll be back. Next time the Mets were back after that 06 team, 2015. They never got back with that same team. Never sniffed it. Nets. I always say this too. I know this is only 2 years ago, and we're still in the Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving era, sadly, because it's been pretty painful recently. But 2019 or 2020 Eastern Conference Finals against the Bucks, Game 7. When we lose that game, I'm thinking to myself, all right, this is hopefully just the start. Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving get a full off season of training together. They can all work together. This is, we got, had some injuries late, get healthy. This is the start of a championship run with this group. Well, we all know how that played out. Last year, Kyrie Irving doesn't play because of the vaccine. James Harden gets traded. Kevin Durant hurt for a while. You get swept against Boston, and now look where we're at. Ben Simmons stinks. Kyrie Irving suspended. Kevin Durant bashed in the starting five. And it doesn't look like we're going anywhere. Everybody thought that 2020 team was just the start. And now look where we're at. That 06 Met team, a lot of people thought that was the start of a special run. They never got back. And I don't want to sound negative, but that's where we're at with the Jets, where it's like, take advantage. You don't know. You never know what next season's going to bring. I mean, who saw the Jets going 6-3? Who saw them? Next year, there might be another team that goes 6-3, 7-3, that we all look at on the schedule and say, oh, that's a winnable game, and it ends up not being. And you have some different teams. Different teams are really good, and it just happens that way. We've seen it so many times in sports. So what I'm trying to say is, take advantage of this. You're 6-3. Go ahead and go compete. Go make the playoffs. And you know what? Go win a playoff game. Go compete for the whole thing. Go ahead and do it. The expectation definitely has to raise for the New York Jets. And I believe in this group. I really do. I was saying yesterday, I think this is probably about a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 I'm feeling on this game. I believe in this group. I think if Zach Wilson plays well like he did against Buffalo, I think we'll win. I do. I believe in this team. I definitely do. So the expectation definitely has to raise, though. Go out and win it. We'll see how it all plays out. All right, so to close it out here, again, a little bit of a shorter episode today. To close it out here, though, we got a couple basketball games on tonight. Hornets, Pacers, Wizards, Thunder, Magic, Timberwolves, Hawks, Celtics, Heat, Raptors, Bulls, Pelicans, Cavs, Bucks, Mavericks, Rockets, Suns, Warriors, and the Kings, Nuggets. Or Knicks, Nuggets, rather. Jeez, Kings. Knicks, Nuggets. So we'll see how that plays out. And as for hockey, 3 games on tonight. Both locals are off, Rangers and the Islanders. Sabres tonight against the Senators. Blackhawks against the Blues. And the Oilers against the Kings. And as for college basketball, got a couple good top 25 matchups. One really good one. A couple other good ones. Michigan, Pittsburgh's a pretty good one on ESPNU, 6 Eastern at Barclays. Tennessee, Florida Gulf Coast, that's not great. Arkansas, South Dakota State's not a very good game either. Houston, Texas Southern, that's probably blowout as well. But the 2 biggest games are Michigan, Pittsburgh, and then this game's going to be a lot of fun. Texas, Gonzaga. Gonzaga going into Texas, going into Austin. Number 11th ranked Texas, number 2 ranked Gonzaga. Both teams 2-0. Texas is a slight 2-point favorite. 9:30 p.m. Eastern, ESPN2 over-under set at 143. This game's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that game. So we'll see how that plays out. That's by far, early season, one of the best matchups of the season so far. So looking forward to it. So that will do it for the podcast here today. Keep, if you watch my Bubbs Talking Baseball podcast, or listen, I should say, it's on Apple. Keep an eye out. I might have a video coming up today. Teoscar Hernandez was traded. Might have a video on him. Kind of a video on just an update in general, manager of the year, rookie of the year in the MLB. And then tomorrow, whoever wins the MVP, I'll upload a video on that. So if Judge wins it, I'll upload a video on that. If Shohei wins it, I don't even know if I'll upload. Not that I don't like Shohei, it's just it would be such a robbery. So I'm going to go, if Judge obviously wins the MVP, I'll definitely upload a video there. So we'll see we'll see. Hopefully, definitely probably have a video up today, tomorrow. We'll see timing-wise. And, yeah, so keep your eyes out, and obviously in the trench with Gangrene as well. I have my previews up Saturday, recap Sunday. I might make a video soon because I haven't made one since last, what was it, I think Thursday, so we're coming up on a week. Might make a video before the preview, or I might just do the preview on Saturday, upload it, and just start fresh like that. But we'll see how it goes. So anyway, that will do it. As always, hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.